Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Kate with Beautiful Light Home, and I am a homeschooling Waldorf inspired mama to two kiddos. My oldest is currently 6, my youngest is 4, and right now I am in the depths of planning for next year because this is May time frame. I've really been planning for next year since January time frame. 1, because I'm really excited, and 2, because as you might have seen in my previous videos, I'm choosing to write my own curriculum for this upcoming first grade year for my currently 6, will be 7 by the time September comes, child. So if you're interested, this is one of several videos in a series all about how I am preparing my curriculum for first grade and what I'm using to prepare my own curriculum. And I want to share those with you so that this way, hopefully I can make writing curriculum accessible to you. I find that sometimes curriculums, especially Waldorf curriculums, they're beautiful but expensive. And normally what I found from us homeschooling families is that we're running off of like one main income. Like I bring in some secondary income here or there, but normally money's tight. So I'm always looking for ways to save money and really do things myself. And this is one of the ways where I'm doing that. My previous videos kind of talk about more in depth about why I'm writing my own curriculum, because it goes beyond just the financial aspect. And then I also talk about what our first main lesson block is going to be. And I talk about my planning tools also in a third video about what tools I'm using to plan. So currently I'm looking at my OneNotes records here. My goal is to put everything into OneNotes. OneNote, is that what that's called? Yes. OneNote here on my iPad. This is where I'm collecting all of my information, and then I'm going to print this out and put everything into a binder so that it's accessible for me throughout every day. So today is all about, I talked about form drawing, which form drawing is our first main lesson block. We're going to spend 3 weeks doing 4 days a week of form drawing. It doesn't have to be your first block, but I've talked about in that video about how this is going to be our first time as a mother-child, teacher-student relationship, really sitting down to do sit-down work together. And I felt like form drawing was a nice, easy transition into it. But then form drawing is also going to be 1 day a week, every Friday, for the rest of the school year after we get out of that block. Another part of the week that I had to look at is our watercolor session. And watercolors is really big in the Waldorf realm. There's a lot of soul work that comes up in watercolors. It's normally a lot of free form. You're not sitting there like physically drawing things out. Instead, you're kind of letting the pictures create themselves. And this will be our first year doing watercolors. So I am going to do watercolors every Thursday. So I wanted to see what is my curriculum going to be for this kind of extracurricular activity for us. So I'm using 2 books for this. The first book I'm using, as always, is the tasks and content of the Steiner Waldorf curriculum. There is, in section 10, there's an entire chapter devoted to art studies. And it actually goes through form drawing, it goes through everything, but one of the very first things it goes through is painting, namely watercolors. And it tells you a little bit of the background of why it's incorporated into the classroom. And then it also goes through each class. So then it starts in like class 1, grade 1, as we would call it here in the States. Grade 1, what is the purpose and what are we trying to achieve in first grade with watercolors? So you should have, if you're planning on teaching Waldorf curriculum at all, whether you're writing it or using somebody else's curriculum, always get this book anyway, because it helps lead to a deeper depth of knowledge on what you're teaching. So you'll need this for everything that you're teaching, and there's great content for watercolors in here. That's the first book that I am using. Let me just get my notes back up here because I captured some really great things about first grade specifically. So from this book, it says that the goal in class 1 is to get to know and characterize the movements of the soul awakened by color. So seeing what the effects of the soul, on the soul, are of each different color that you're using. And it kind of also, as a teacher, you get to see a little bit of the constitution of each of your children as you're doing this, and seeing how they're painting, what they're painting, and kind of the fluidity of their movements. A lot of times, different temperaments will reveal themselves differently through their painting. And they also start with wet on wet painting, which once we get into it, I'll show you what that is. But essentially, it's where you take thick watercolor paper, nice quality watercolor paper, and you soak it in water ahead of time. And then you put it on like a nice board, and you can paint on it. So you wipe off the excess water, and then you start to paint on it. And the watercolors have such a kind of organic, flowing nature to them. So really in first grade, you're working with different colors, trying to see how the colors present themselves, starting with one color at a time, and then you start to do color combinations throughout the year. So what am I using? So this is how I know my goals, obviously my tasks and content for watercolors. I've chosen to do watercolors every Thursday for the upcoming school year. But this is the book where I get all of my lessons from, and it's great. It's already prepared for you. And this is called Painting and Drawing in Waldorf Schools. And it gives you lessons from classes 1 all the way through 8. It even does form drawing in here as well. This is mostly painting, I would say. And there is some drawing, but it's great. So I was an art history major for undergrad. And it gives you in here a whole lot of information on kind of art theory. So I was kind of versed in that already, but if you're new to it, it's great to understand a little bit about art theory before you get into this. Like I said, it does have form drawing in here a little bit, and it does have stuff for each grade, but I'm using the other form drawing book for my lessons. And you can check out my form drawing video all on how I'm planning that. But what I do love about this book is the fact that there are, I think it's like 37 lessons in here for first grade. It goes through a little bit of why we're doing what we're doing, and then it starts class 1. And it literally shows you with pictorial representations about how to introduce this to your class or to your children. And then it goes through, okay, so this is the first assignment here. And it shows you what to do with every single assignment with pictorial representations. It tells you what to do and how to prepare ahead of time, which is beautiful. It gives you ideas for different stories to help evoke a mental image for each child as they are painting. To kind of put them in that dream world where they can reach like a higher soulful level as they're creating their art. And like I said, there are over 30 lessons in this. I think I just counted like 37 lessons for first grade, which is, if I'm doing this once a week, it's more than enough to get us through the year. Knowing my kiddos, they will probably want to do this more than once a week. So I have a couple extra in here that we can use in order to kind of supplement if we have a down day or a rainy day and they want to do some more watercolors. So all in all, that's what I'm using to create our watercolor lessons for first grade. Just the 2 books. I'm using my iPad for GoodNotes, and just to show you why I love GoodNotes so much. You do have to pay. It's an app that you have to pay for. It's a one-time fee. But this is why I love it. So like I went in here and I typed in all of my notes as I was reading both books. I was able to put in here I was able to put what book they all came from. But then this is what I really love, is that I'm able to go through and take pictures of different things from the books that resonated with me. And I put them right in here, and I'm gonna print this out. So I have all my notes and all the key standout information right here that I can keep in here. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. You can also come over and see me on Instagram at Beautiful Light Home. And I do have an Etsy page. I do a whole bunch of, if I'm not homeschooling, I'm creating. So some of my stuff is homeschool stuff on my Etsy page, and I try to add to that every time I create something new for our home classroom. But at the same time, I have other stuff over there as well. So feel free to check me out on Instagram, on Etsy at Beautiful Light Home. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I love talking to you guys, and I'm interested to hear what you all have to say. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.